Mayor and members of the board, my name is Steve Smith, and I'm an attorney in Jackson. I'm here tonight representing S&R. It's been a long road, and it's been a very difficult road, and one that I have not really been able to understand. I have to practice law by the laws, and I have to evaluate facts, and apply those facts to law, to try to make a decision, try to make a recommendation to my client. During this process, I've been at a loss to determine the ordinance, the code, the regulation, state case law, state statutory law, that my clients have failed to meet. We started out with a height variance. That was denied. Mr. Gaucher voted on a couple times to delay our project. We took away the height variance request. We revised the quality of construction to that which Mr. Hart was in agreement with, and I think the city's with. We came back for approval. Then the moratorium was adopted. It's my understanding we were the only hotel project that was affected by the moratorium. And the study was supposed to have been done under the moratorium. And the state states in there what the study was for. I have not yet to see a study. We did get the Tourism Commission study, and I think that was very insightful. I think it should have put to bed any fears that you all have about whether or not there is a need or availability of hotel rooms in your city. Ridgeland's got one of the highest occupancy rates in the state of Mississippi, and that's a great thing. And that's for the hotels located in the northern part of the city, which my clients would be. 2 weeks after the moratorium was adopted, another local developer came in and got approval for 2 new hotels, 2 height variances up to 80 feet, and 8% sales tax rebate up to 30% of the entire project. My clients didn't ask for that. They're going to build their product, operate, and own their product on its own. Didn't need any kind of TIF money or anything else. We just are asking to be treated fairly, in accordance with your ordinances, and in accordance with the things that this body can lawfully require us to do or request us to do. So far, we've done everything anybody has asked us to do. We've revised our drawings. We probably added $400,000 to $600,000 in additional material cost. These renderings I have here today were rendered by our architect today. That's what the Holiday Inn Express will look like. And this is what the True will look like. All brick. It's just every bit as good a quality as any hotel in the township or any place else in the city of Ridgeland.
Steve, if you don't mind me interrupting real quick, I just want to point out this is also a color option. Personally, we like this one better, but just so you guys know that
Yeah,
it
you
is a color
can
option.
go either way with the color.
It blends in better with the True,
With the True.
to me, but I don't have a vote.
We came to City Hall. The top reason I came to City Hall was September 5th, and we met with the mayor and Alan Hart. I don't want to get you in hot water, but my primary question to Alan was, Alan, tell me what's wrong with our project. What ordinance or code or regulation or state statute or law do we not comply with? Is our project compliant? And Alan said yes. I said, is there anything we haven't met? Alan said, no. I said, that's what I wanted to know. So then the moratorium goes out on October 31st. We have a meeting last Thursday up here, a good meeting at City Hall with Mr. Hurd, the mayor, Alan, Jerry, and Mr. Smith. At that meeting, it was discussed about limiting our room size We agreed to it. We've gone from 280 rooms originally to 263, and now we've agreed to only build 208 rooms. We were asked, would you accommodate on your site plan and in future adjacent development on your south and east property lines? We said, certainly. We'll put the curb cuts on there. We'll do whatever it takes. Then we were also asked to agree to put in the covenants that there will only be 2 hotels on the property. We agreed to that. Because Mr. Patel was out west at a conference, a hotel conference last week, it was pretty miraculous that Holiday Inn IHG Corporation agreed to let us do away with the Holiday Inn Hotel and to allow us only to build the Holiday Inn Express and the True. We got that word on Wednesday. We called the mayor. We called to let Mr. Hurd and other aldermen know that this is a recent development. It's very unusual, but it happened, and we're able to agree to that lesser room count. We're able to agree to only 2 hotels. And we're here tonight saying that we've agreed to those covenants, those conditions that were put to us last Thursday. I've drawn them up. I sent them to Mr. Mills. He's looked at them. Gentlemen, in all honesty, I've been a city attorney right where Jerry was sitting. I've done this for right at 40 years. And in all honesty, just like I do with the jury, I ask them to be, is there anything that can keep you from being fair and impartial in here in this case? And that's what I'm asking this body here tonight. Is there anything that you can show us in the law, in your ordinances, in your covenants, anything that we have not complied with, because we want to comply? My client's headquarters are here in Ridgeland. They build a good product. You've ensured they're going to build an even better product, and that's a good thing. Our room count is limited. We're in a good location. We're going to accommodate the adjacent development when it happens, and we're willing to put those things in a covenant. And the covenant runs with the land. So regardless of whether we own it or somebody 50 years, 20 years, 18 years down the road owns it, they're bound by these same covenants also. So we're here asking this board to approve our site plan and to authorize the issuance of a building permit at your meeting tomorrow night. And if there are any questions or complaints or anything, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Steve, what's the difference in a deed restriction and a covenant? I mean,
A deed.
you mentioned that it would run with the property.
That's state law. Jerry can confirm that. A covenant runs with the land, regardless of who owns it and regardless of how many people own it. It runs with the land. So regardless of whether SR Development owns it or Ridgeland Hospitality Group LLC owns it or anybody else, it runs with the land. And that's security for you all.
But it would basically serve the same purpose.
As a deed restriction, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's there. We can only do what it says. We can only have 208 rooms. We can only have 2 hotels. We've got to accommodate adjoining development.
Steve, you mind if I hand these site plans out real quick?
No,
So
sure, sure.
So I want somebody to look at it.
So the other questions of things?
It was, we were able to create an acre on the southeastern corner.
That's another thing that Todd and them did, Chico did. They moved the
future mixed
hotels
use.
up close to the frontage road.
Moved everything to the front.
It gives more area, it gives, on the east side, it allows us to accommodate other development, and we've parsed out an acre there for that possibility. But the covenants are going to run as to the whole 5.25 acre site. But if somebody wanted to come in there and build a Cracker Barrel or put an office building on that 1 acre or whatever, those covenants really wouldn't prevent them from doing that, which would be a good thing. It would just it keeps no more than 2 hotels, it only allows 208 rooms, and it requires us to accommodate adjacent development.
On this, the curb cut on the frontage road, I'm guessing, it looks like, are you, what are these, two curb cuts, or am I not looking at it right, or, because I'm guessing this right here is that city owned.
That's an alleyway. Yes, sir.
Alleyway.
A right of way, excuse me.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
So is this proposing that the curb cut would be on the,
Yes,
like,
so
on the city thing, or
Right,
right
Is
there?
what's been asked of us is to close this curb cut, make
And we
this
use
and
that
then pull
one.
in from there.
That's perfect.
This
Okay.
is being finalized as we speak. So
Okay.
those curb cuts are not on there. This is just to give you an idea of how we've changed.
But you would be okay with the curb cut being on the city?
Yeah, that's one
alleyway?
thing that we've been asked to agree to.
Okay.
And let me say one other.
Would we have to
thing.
get MDOT approval for that?
We do.
You do?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
At our meeting last Thursday, you know, I'm representing my client, and I'm wanting to know, will Mayor, Jerry, Alderman, we need and we would love to have our project approved on Tuesday. What kind of motion, what kind of action are we talking about? And what was discussed, nobody agreed on anything. What was discussed was a motion and a second and a vote to approve our site plan, conditioned upon us putting all the requirements on our site plan that Alan required. He's given us a list. Our architect worked the entire weekend. We have a whole new set of site plans right here. Doesn't have everything on it,
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
by the time we leave this meeting.
but it will, I think, as of tomorrow, but it would have to have everything on it before we could, you know, get a permit and start work. And we're in agreement with that. A conditional approval is fine for us. We're trying to comply. We want to do what you want us to do, and we want to build a good product.
Steve, the one thing that I've expressed a concern about is making these covenants that the city could enforce, that would be in favor of the city, and that they could only be modified with the approval of the city. You ask if we did that with regard to other projects. It's common that we do that. I can't think of one offhand, but I think board members. So that's the only change I would request before it's considered by the board.
And I had, I have,
There've been a number of them that have been done with that requirement.
I haven't discussed that with a couple of
I
clients. She
understand.
just got in town, but we'll look at that and be ready to give a final decision on that tomorrow.
Okay.
Before
All
we
it
leave.
does is give the city standing to enforce the covenant and prevents unilateral amendment of the covenants.
Understand.
Any other questions or comments of Steve?
Do we have a list of those covenants? Do we have, is anything been prepared by?
I've prepared to give them to Jerry, the three of them in there, yes, sir. Sorry, I didn't bring copies. But he's having looked at it.
As I said, that's the only change that I would recommend from what I understood the Thursday's meeting to be.
I'd just like to say I appreciate Todd and Chico and Steve's willingness to work with us and their patience through this whole process. And based on the general feeling that we're close to getting somewhere where we need to be and everybody's happy. But I do appreciate your forbearance on some of this, and I appreciate you giving the detailed history of what went on as we got to that point, and probably that's for the record. But anyway, that was good to know, but I think we're in a much better place now, and I appreciate y'all's help. And I appreciate all the other board members who put things in all along the way, like Brian's talk early on about the placement of buildings and things like that, that certainly I think get us a really much better plan and a more marketable plan possible for y'all to have an out parcel to sell someday if you decide.
Sure. We totally agree with that.
Are there other comments or questions? Vote on tomorrow night.
Thank you,
I
Mayor.
just real quick, I don't mean to go back to this alleyway thing, but because that city easement, would y'all construct the road to go into that, or is that our responsibility, because that's city easement?
Well, yeah, I think that would probably be fall back on the city at this point, just because
I
of the,
mentioned something about looking at all the property owners and seeing, I mentioned again, and there's the possibility of going through there with a special assessment road like we've done.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's possible, but it's
It's a
something.
possibility.
Does it involve limits of property?
I just thought about
no,
that, so
yeah,
I
I mean,
wanted to put that out
it'd be
there.
great, you know,
It would
for the
involve
whole,
property
for the
owners
whole
and,
property.
At least